Matthew Tkachuk has been one of the most efficient players in the entire NHL this season, and with the Florida Panthers' position in the playoff race, easily one of the most valuable. But Matthew Tkachuk has been so good that he deserves some massive recognition in the Hart Trophy race, and here is why. Hello guys, and welcome back to Grav Spicy Takes. This week we're taking a look at Matthew Tkachuk of the Florida Panthers, just how valuable he has been this season, and why I think there's a case to be made that he'll be second place in the Hart Trophy race when it's all said and done. Now, we all know that Connor McDavid is gonna win the Hart Trophy. I mean, were you surprised that I said that? I hope not. But even though Connor McDavid has first place in the Hart Trophy race pretty much locked up and with the key thrown away, second and third place are almost the most interesting part of the Hart Trophy conversation. And if the Florida Panthers were to make the playoffs, I think Matthew Tkachuk could honestly be number 2 in that. The Panthers currently are 1 point outside a playoff spot right now, but when we look at what the Panthers have been this season, it's been Matthew Tkachuk and his band of merry men. When we look at all NHL players, Matthew Tkachuk currently sits 4th in NHL scoring. In 73 games, he has 38 goals, 63 assists for 101 points on the season. Now, when we also look at the 5-on-5 side of the game, right now Matthew Tkachuk is tied with Connor McDavid for second place in the entire NHL with 55 5-on-5 points. And also, when we look at all NHL players who have played over 700 5-on-5 minutes, Matthew Tkachuk currently sits first in expected goals for per 60. Simply put, when he's on the ice, and especially even strength in 5-on-5, he's one of the most efficient, if not the most efficient forward out there. And that speaks volumes, especially considering Florida's playoff position. But looking at Matthew Tkachuk's situation, he reminds me a lot of Taylor Hall back in 2018, where he willed that New Jersey Devils team into the playoffs. And even though it's not quite on the same level, they're both pretty similar in terms of their position. Both big-time wingers coming into the season and were making big waves. You can see with Taylor Hall, he had a 41-point difference compared to the second highest scorer on New Jersey that season, with Nico Hischier coming in second place. With Matthew Tkachuk, it's not quite on the same level. He has 33 points compared to the second highest score on Florida, but that's still a huge margin. And again, with Florida scraping, desperately trying to make the playoffs, every single point counts. Yet Matthew Tkachuk has consistently been Florida's highest profile scorer throughout the entire season. And when Florida's needed him most, Matthew Tkachuk has delivered. You had the biggest game of the season versus the Montreal Canadiens, not even just for the playoff position, but also because of the pick that Florida gave Montreal. And Matthew Tkachuk just dropped a hat trick, a 4-point night performance, and was absolutely electric, being easily the best player on the ice. That's what Matthew Tkachuk can do, and at any single moment, any single game, be the best player on the ice by far. We saw that in the game versus Montreal. We've seen that in almost all the games for Florida. Even when he's not scoring, he's doing a lot of the right things, and that's what's really propelled Florida to way more success than they would have had otherwise. Now, what's crazy is what Matthew Tkachuk did last season, having a huge career high in points of 104, but he was still 11 points back of Gaudreau, who was also having a career season of his own with 115 points in 82 games. He was fantastic, but he wasn't the most valuable player on his team with Calgary, with Gaudreau definitely getting those honors. But this year, he's come onto Florida, is over 30 points above the second highest score, and is still on pace to get a career high in points. That's just how prolific Matthew Tkachuk has been, and that's how much he's elevated his game to that elite status. But he isn't afraid to fight. He isn't afraid to get rowdy all over the ice and create mischief wherever he goes and create chaos for the other team and get really in their heads in so many ways, not even just on the score sheet, but physically. He can do so much for you, and we've seen that game really transform over these past couple of years. And when you look at the Florida Panthers, their identity is Matthew Tkachuk. He's the lifeblood of this Florida Panthers franchise, and he's what really is keeping them going from a disastrous season. If he wasn't here, this Panthers team would be contending for Bedard, except, of course, their first-round pick would be away, so that would suck. But Tkachuk has truly given them at least a little bit of hope, which, for Florida, is all they really have right now. But from the start of the season for the Panthers in Game 1, getting a great empty net goal to ice the game for the Panthers, all the way to now, Matthew Tkachuk has been not just the Florida Panthers MVP, but one of the most valuable players in the entire friggin' league. And again, if the Panthers make the playoffs, I think he should be top 3 in that Hart voting, no doubt. But let us know down below, do you guys agree or disagree with my spicy take this week? Let us know as well what your top 3 for the Hart Trophy would be and where you have Matthew Tkachuk in the Hart Trophy conversation. Let us know down below. Of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already for more hockey content just like this. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, y'all, and we'll see you in next week's Spicy Takes. Goodbye.